want to keep things clean and you guys want to get in and out, stuff like that, I always operate with a couple of bowls. I operate with like a waste bowl and like a finished bowl, or if I'm making vegetable sticks, I'll have a platter, maybe put a piece of parchment paper on here, and then so we're ready to go. So a couple of things, I understand you guys are going to be getting melons. So the melons, and absolutely you want to make sure that we're washing our melons. What happens is, of course, melons are not grown in Ontario, the ones that we're using right now. And so they're being watered with sort of a gray water from like Guatemala or something like that, right? So there's a lot of those contaminants that get stuck onto the skin. So you want to make sure I did wash this a little bit better actually before you guys arrived. So you want to make sure that it is completely clean, because when we slice into it, any type of bacteria that's going to be on the skin is going to go into the melon at that point, right? So
that's right, Elaine, to wash properly, then just really scrub with your hands, right?
Really
Underwater
scrub,
and give it a good scrub.
Yeah. Example it. So I would just do it like this. The ones that I had for you guys, I did soak a little bit. There are people who soak it in water with a bit of vinegar. Whether or not that works, I've actually heard baking soda is something. But anyways, yeah, you just want to make sure they're washed really well as all of your fruits and vegetables, right? So, I even rinse avocados, oranges, anything like that, because especially after the hurricanes, a lot of infrastructure was damaged. And of course, everything is still growing. So a lot of the facilities may not be filtering or purifying their water at all, right? So we really want to make sure that stuff's clean. So when you guys do your melons, do you think you'd be serving them with the skin on or off? What's off? Okay, so whenever we're cutting something round, we want to make a flat surface, right? So it's safe. So I'm just going to take the bottom off like that. Then I'm going to have another flat surface here, so I'll just do that. And then I'm just going to take my knife. So I peel citrus the same way, right down the side. And you can get underneath just watch that green. So you want to get right underneath the green of the cantaloupe. It's a bit of an art because you want to make sure that you're not taking too much off. Like here's a bit too much. But you can always go over it. It's not a race. I have to remind myself of that sometimes. Especially now when I've got all these people watching. This will be the worst time to cut myself.
You show that you're human too.
It's okay. It's always my nightmare. And actually, it really is my nightmare. I feel like I've cursed myself. Anyway, so we're just going like this, all the way around. But see how I'm keeping my cutting board clean? There's nothing worse than it when I walk into some place and the cutting board's all like messed up. So then what I do is here, I'm just gonna go around. You could use a paring knife, but it's like not nearly as efficient. Honestly, learn how to use your French knives. Practice these. These are a real gift. When you learn how to use a French knife, it will change your life completely. So honestly, so here's the deal with the French knife. All of that food that you guys had out there earlier today, you had the fruit platter, the vegetable platter, the soup, the eggs. I think that might have been it. I came in at like 8:30. I have 2 young teenage girls. There was crisis after crisis after crisis. I don't think I started cooking that stuff until probably 9:15. And because I have good knife skills, I was able to just go and it's done, right? So really, it makes a huge difference. So right down the center.
Excuse me, what's unique about a French knife as opposed to
a paring knife?
Or any other knife?
Okay, so a French knife is, they call it a French knife or a chef knife. And it is it looks like this, so it rocks. So you can see the difference of the shape between the paring knife and the French knife. It's also a larger blade. There's different types of French knives. There's like a longer blade or a shorter blade. I personally like the smaller ones. I have more control over it. But what it is you have a larger surface to work with. When we get into chopping, the shape of the knife has a rocking motion. And then, because with a paring knife, when we're cutting something, there is no other you can only do this, right? So if I'm cutting my carrots like this, it is going to take me a whole like to make 150 vegetable sticks or soup for 150 people. It's going to be a long time. So we really have to learn how to use this, because once we have the French knife down, I mean, we have all this surface, we have speed, and it is like made for speed, and it is accurate as well. So you're going to notice when I'm holding my knife that I'm holding it like this. So when we're holding your knife, we're not going to be holding it like that. Because when we hold it down here, we're not going to have as much control over the blade and the tip. So we have the tip, the heel, the handle, and then down here is going to be a shaft. It's a stainless steel shaft that goes right into the handle here. And that's a good knife. We want to see that. Some of the chef knives are like $10 or $15 knives you can buy. The steel is going to stop here, and then it's going to be fastened on by just like a bolt or plastic. When we see bolts there, if it's not a solid piece, there could be food safety issues, right? You could have stuff get stuck in there. Also, the blade can just sort of fall off. And I mean, I've been in the middle of cutting something, and all of a sudden the blade comes off, and that's kind of a bit scary and wacky at the same time. And so you just want to be careful of that. So the nice thing about the French knife is that you have all of this area, and the design is just can help us with speed. So then we're going to take Louisa, what sort of portion would you want to see, like as in a box, like with a melon? Like what are we looking for?
Well, so do you want to cut, maybe if you cut them, I can tell you how many per kid.
All right, so if I was doing this, I'd have a rag beside me.
So Health Canada will say that a serving is half a cup's worth.
And so that's what we're looking for, a full serving for the...
About that. Like, we also don't want food waste in our programs. We all know how much our kids eat. Little kids will need less than grown kids, right? So if food is coming back, you know you're sending too much. If food is always picked completely clean, you might want to try sending a little bit more and see if it, just to make sure everyone's getting enough of what they need.
So like...
Yeah, so I'd probably do that. That'd be about one child. Yeah.
It's like that. That we could wrap it up or put in a little bag, or I don't know exactly. That's your call.
We put chunks on skewers.
Yep, chunks on skewers is good.
You're in the high school, yeah. Skewers. I know elementary, they don't like the skewers so much sometimes. My son is probably responsible for that.
I see little sword fights.
Sword fights right after
Yeah.
breakfast.
So you're looking at